Hello everyone, this is Jim with Flashlight Guide. Today we're taking a look at the Wasp Triple LED light engine that's available from OVEREADY. The Wasp has 3 Cree XPL emitters and it's rated to produce right around 3500 lumens. It's a lot of light and really a small package. Has an interesting design. The head is actually almost hollow. You can see almost right through it there. That's to allow increased airflow through the head to aid in cooling, because this thing can produce a lot of heat. If you'd like to see a detailed review, specifications, runtime, beamshot photos and such like that, I encourage you to check out the written review at flashlightguide.com. What we're doing today is we're going to take a look at the operation, the programming, and just some of the features this light has to offer. Thought it'd be easier to do it in a video than to write about all of it. Right off the bat, one thing that's pretty nice about the light is it's able to run on either one lithium-ion rechargeable cell or 2. And it can tell the difference. It can tell when it's being powered by a single battery and adjust its output accordingly. There are actually 2 different sets of operating modes. One set for a single battery, the other for a dual battery setup. Each of those banks of modes, if you will, can have up to 4 different modes in them. For example, dim, low, medium, and high, or any combination that you want. And it's fully programmable. I'll show you more about that in a moment. But to kind of show you what I'm talking about, I'll demonstrate how it's set up right now. I'm going to load it with 2 18350s. Okay, and so right now it's in its low mode. That's the dim. Okay, I'm going to go off and back on quickly. Now I'm in low mode. Off and back on again. Now it's in medium. Off and back on quickly. Now it's in high. This is the full output. It's quite a bit. Okay, this is a good time to show you one of the features. An optional feature on the Wasp is something that's called a bounce switch. Let's say that you had it programmed to come on in high mode and it accidentally got turned on in your pocket, or maybe it's laying up against something. Well, the bounce switch is able to detect how much light's reflected back at the emitter, and if it's above a certain threshold, it'll actually, for safety reasons, throttle it back and it'll just turn on a low output red LED to avoid from burning you or something else. If you go off and back on again quickly, it's going to be right back in high mode. If something obstructs it, it's going to bounce down to the red mode. It's a pretty neat feature. Now right now I've got it set where that it has no mode memory. So now I'm in the low mode. If I run it like that for a little while, then shut it off, when I turn the light back on, it's always going to go back to the first mode, which is that very dim output. That's another one of the options that you can change in the programming. I'll show you in a minute. Now currently, the modes are exactly the same for the 1-cell setup. Load it up real quick, kind of show you. So with 118,650, you can see I've got, start over again, I've got the low, or the dim rather, then a low, then a medium, and then a high. Now with one lithium-ion cell, the output's going to be a little bit less than what it is with 2-cell setup. The light's smart enough to figure that out, and it'll take care of that for you, so you don't have to worry about over-draining your cells. So I'm going to shut this off for a second, and we'll go in and talk about how the programming works. So for that, we're going to go to the computer for a little bit. Okay, so this is the LuxRC website. But the way it's laid out here is it has a separate section for each battery configuration. You can see right here at the top you have the single battery setup, and then down below the 2 battery configuration. So I'll just run through real quick some of the options that you have and show you how the programming works. First of all, if you want, you can actually disable a setup and just say I don't want this to run, for example, on a single battery. That's not for me, so I'm going to turn that one back on. Then you'll see here there's 4 positions for the single battery setup, and you can put any modes really that you wish. So just to change it up a little bit, I'm going to just change a couple of these. I'm going to change this dim mode, this really low white light mode. I'm going to change it to a red moonlight. Maybe I prefer that for low light activities. And then just to spread things out a little bit, I'm going to lower this one down a little bit to we'll call it level 6 right here. I'll leave these other 2 the same. There's actually 33 levels of white light, and with a single battery setup you're limited to level 28. That's as high as you can go. So let's scroll down just a little bit and we'll talk about the 2-cell arrangement. You can see currently it's set up the same way. So let's say that I want my 2-cell setup to be for maybe tactical use. I want it to be high and high only, no other options. So I can do that with the programming. I'm going to scroll way down. I'm going to scroll through all 33 light levels until I get to what's referred to as the afterburning mode. This is 100%, 30 watts of output. Pretty powerful. And I'm going to leave it where it's at. These others, since I want this to be really simple, no opportunity for mistakes, I'm going to turn them off. So you don't have to use all 4 modes. If you'd rather, you just turn it right off and not use it. Again, same thing. I'm going to scroll way up and shut this one off. Now while I'm here, I'll show you real quick some of the other modes. You've got 33 white light modes, you've got the red moonlight mode, then you've got some blinky modes and things like that. You can set it up where it'll blink an SOS signal, a 10 hertz strobe, a red beacon. That's a little double flash of red light, I think once every 3 seconds. And then you can set up a custom signal, and you've got several options here. You can use the red LEDs or the white LEDs. You can have a single blink or a double blink, and again, like I said, you've got the white LEDs as well. You can set the on time 64 milliseconds or up to a quarter second with the white LEDs, and then the off time, how long is it off in between blinks. 3 seconds. You have a few options: 1 second, a quarter second, and 32 milliseconds. So it can be a really rapid blink or a rather slow one. Again, I'm going to leave this off because we're going to set this up for a 1 mode operation. So I'm going to scroll way up here to the top and say not in use. Then this section here at the bottom, these are a few other options that affect how the light operates. The first one relates to memory. So currently I've got this set up with no memory. If I turn the light off, turn it back on, it's always going to go back to the very first mode in sequence. You can change that and set it up with standard memory. And what this will do, it will remember the last mode that was used. If you turn the light off for a moment or two, turn it back on, it's going to go back to that last mode. And then the other option is a hybrid memory. It's kind of a cross between the two. In this, it acts like the standard memory. You turn the light off, turn it back on, it'll come back to the last mode that was used, but then if you start cycling through the modes, it'll always start back at the first mode. So we're going to try standard memory on this. There we have it. This option is for battery protection. If you're using unprotected cells like I am right now, this will shut the light off when the battery voltage drops down to 2.8 volts per cell. It just keeps you from over discharging your batteries. If you're using protected batteries, then you can turn that off and it will allow you to run the battery down a little bit farther. In that case, you're relying upon the battery's protective circuitry. This other option is battery stretch. This greatly extends your runtime. This reacts to the battery voltage when it gets down to 3.2 volts per cell, and it will actually start decreasing output just ever so slightly, however much it needs to basically keep the voltage up and keep from completely depleting your battery. With battery stretch off in lithium-ion batteries, it will run till the voltage drops to 2.8 if we have the protection active, and the light will just shut off, leaving you in the dark. With battery stretch on, it'll be a more gradual decline. It'll give you some warning, which is a good thing. Then this last section here is for the bounce switch that I talked about. You can turn it off, you can leave it unchanged. Where I had it a moment ago, that's where you actually set the sensitivity. If it's a little too sensitive, you can dial it back. Not sensitive enough, crank it up based upon your needs. I've got it set right around 78 on mine. So once we have the program the way that we want it, then it's time to program the light. So you click the button there for save and program, and you will be greeted by a little screen that gives you instructions on how to set the light up for programming. What you have to do is you have to cycle the light on off, and then have a slight pause, and then do that same sequence 2 more times. So you'll have 3 times where you go on off, then a little pause, do it again. Then at the end you'll just simply turn the light on. And what you're looking for is you should see a very dim red LED if it's in programming mode. So let's see if I can get it right. Let me see. So I'm going to cycle it on off twice quickly. Pause, 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 and then back on. And there I have a very dim, kind of blinking red LED. So I'm in programming mode. So going back to the computer, I should have mentioned a moment ago, this gives you an option. One option is to download the programming sequence as a video. It's a nice feature. that will allow you to have it for offline use or maybe even to use it on a mobile device. The other option is to program it right here in your web browser, which is what we're going to do now. So when I click on that button, we're going to be prompted, or we're going to have a green square in the middle of our screen. What we'll do is we'll hold the light right up to that green square, then it will start flashing white and black, off and on, and that's the programming sequence. When it gets to the end of the sequence, the green square will reappear. What we're looking for is we're looking for that red LED to go off. The light should just go dark if it accepted the program. If it didn't, maybe I didn't hold the light just right or something like that, then the sequence will start right over again. And so we'll just try it again until we get it right. So I'm going to click Program. And let's see how she does. If for some reason the program doesn't take, you might have to adjust the brightness on your monitor, or maybe turn some lights off in the room. And there we go, our red LED is off. So when we're done programming, we go down here at the bottom, there's a button to click when done. And I'll show you one more thing real quick before we leave the web page. Let's say that I really like this program and I may want to save it for later use. I can come up here to the top and click that arrow button, and I have some options: load, save as, and a view source option. I'm going to click save as, and what I can do here is I can give this program a name. So I'm just going to name it Red Moonlight and click save. And what that does, you're able to save any programs that you want to repeat or use later. You can see here when I click load, here's a list of what I got in here right now. So let's test it. I've got this, let me get out of here. I've got this in the single battery configuration, so what we should see is a red moonlight mode as our first mode, then a pretty dim mode, then a brighter medium mode, and then finally high mode. So it looks like it worked. Now we also changed the memory setting. Before there was no memory. If you turned the light off, left it off, then turned it back on, it always started at the first mode. Now it should remember the last mode used. So I'm going to shut it off for a second, turn it back on, and it looks like that worked. It's in the high mode. Should go back to red, if I do it right. Go back to red, and then the low, the medium, and the high, like that. So let's try it with two batteries, see what happened there. So the two battery setup, we reconfigured it so that it would be the high mode only, kind of like a tactical light. And the bounce switch still works. So there you go, high mode, off, high mode. Doesn't matter how quickly I try to switch it, it's always going to be high mode. And I left the bounce switch on, so that feature still works. Pretty neat. I hope this helps. I hope it shows how the programming is done and gives a hint at some of the features of this light. Like I mentioned, if you want to see full specs, more information about it, do check out the review at flashlightguide.com, and thanks for watching.